Hello, my name is Andrew. I also go by Andreas. And I don't exactly know specifically what I want to talk about other than um, I've been through a lot in my life, and I've specifically chosen to uh, become fearless in a number of ways. And right now, I'm not fearless in every way. There are still areas of my life in which I do have fear and there's resistance due to fear. However, this seems to be due to traumas that I'm working on resolving from the past, or if there are other situations of which I'm not aware, then then I'm simply not aware of the origins of this fear. But when it comes to the biggest and most intense concepts, pretty much I am fearless. So, for example, when it comes to thinking about existential things and my own self relative to existence and my own nature and whether or not I'm eternal or what life is about, and if there's anyone protecting me spiritually, or is nature alive and protective, or is nature trying to harm me, or what's going on here? Is there any safety anywhere? Like that kind of stuff. The big questions about the fundamentals of life, and not just the fundamentals of life, but what the fundamentals allow. I am actually quite fearless. When it comes to the concept of God, for example, I have dealt with the concept of God numerous times in numerous ways, and there's a lot of stuff in society, in the society which I've grown up and have lived. So a lot of stuff about fearing God, about being a God-fearing person, a God-fearing being. And I am not any longer a God-fearing being. I have chosen to not be God-fearing, and I've chosen specifically and deliberately to not be God-fearing because I don't want to fear anyone or anything. I don't want fear to be in my life. I don't want to be limited by fear. I don't want to experience fear. I'd rather be discerning and aware without experiencing the fear. Regardless of what the truth is, other way. And I say other way instead of otherwise. I could also use the word else. Regardless of what the truth is, or just other, regardless of what the truth is else, or regardless of what the truth is other, I don't want to experience fear, and I don't want that to impede my capacities to function in any way. So it is very possible to do away with fear. It's very possible to change one's mind and one's countenance to not experience fear anymore in pretty much any way, I believe. I'm still working on that to make myself truly fearless. However, I've done the work with extreme fear, paranoia, and doubts, even very insidious doubts that cause a whole lot of fear and paranoia. I've experienced these things profoundly, and now I am currently existing in a state where I don't fear the fundamentals of life. In fact, I am adamant about being somebody who is going to contribute to life in a beneficial way, and regardless of what the conditions are, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to continue to try to make life better, not just for myself, but for everybody, and to improve and enhance existence in ways that are fundamental, so that there is fundamentally more safety in life. And I've encountered spiritual warfare. I do experience schizophrenia. Part of that means I hear voices. I also experience what people would call tactile hallucinations in very extreme ways. And these tactile hallucinations are basically being attacked, a lot of them, in spiritual warfare. And I've had to tell God outright, like, get off my back. I'm not going to accept you being being part of a warring regime and putting me in the middle of a fight that I don't want to be a part of. I want peace. I want harmony. According to the biblical text, God's basically at war. I don't want to be at war. I want to be at peace. And I've had to let God and the factions of angels know, hey, look, I'm not going to be a part of what you're doing. I'm choosing a different way. I'm choosing something new and different while being extremely attacked, even to the point where I've been possessed, I've been enslaved by God and by others like God, and I've been harmed in very, very, very terrible ways, psychologically and energetically and emotionally, with psychological harm, and even physically I've been harmed in very, very terrible ways. Been made very sick in a number of different ways. And I am somebody who is personally choosing to say, look, I've got my life and I've got my power. I choose my power. I choose to be independent. I choose to be able to function regardless of whether or not I'm totally alone and isolated because of any circumstances, or whether or not I have others to support me and to work with. And I'm just not afraid of those who have been the most major players in life. I'm not afraid of the government. I'm not afraid of the governments of the world. I'm not afraid of the legal systems. I'm not afraid of God. I'm not afraid of the devil. I'm not afraid of demons. I'm not afraid of other devils, because there are other devils other than Satan, and other than named devils. I'm not afraid of these things. And I've worked to be like that. I'm not afraid of ideas and concepts of the could be or the possibility. People would say possibility. I don't like to say possibility, because I think possibilities are kind of reserved for good and beneficial phenomena. But to state it in standard language, the possibilities of non-existence and destruction of existence, I'm not afraid of these things. I stand confidently in a state where I say, look, I'm going to change things so that these things are no longer possibilities if they were possibilities. And I have experienced being destroyed before. Not totally and entirely, but I was being destroyed very, 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 very intensely and intently by others on a spiritual level, with the very essence of my being dissolved. And it wasn't very fun. But I got through it without being afraid. I was very calm. I was very relaxed. It was just like, well, this is happening. It happened over a duration that was pretty considerable. I mean, weeks actually, before things finally got righted. And I'm working to ensure that this kind of thing can't happen in existence. It was simply my experience. I haven't validated it factually with other scientific means, but I experienced being destroyed and being dissolved as a being, having my very energy destroyed and become nothing, and my very consciousness being destroyed and become nothing. And I'm still here. Anyhow, so I really wanted to talk about being fearless, and I believe I can help others to become fearless. I would like to make some relationships with others and help them to become more fearless. I would like to benefit from it personally. I am technically homeless at this time. I do have a place to stay right now, but I'm technically homeless, and I'd like my own place. I'm also developing a business plan that's pretty robust for to help me to purchase property that I would be able to use as a home site, as well as a business property, as a sort of a commercial property. But I want to get things going in my life, and I'm ready. More ready than ever. I'm still dealing with sickness, symptoms of schizophrenia, and other injuries and such that are troubling sometimes, but I'm doing the best I can and putting things together as I can, and my cognition is improving, my memory is improving, although it lapses sometimes, and that's just something I'm dealing with. But I can overcome this, I believe, and I'm working to overcome it. I'm not afraid of this at all. I just experience it, and I'm confident that eventually things will work out and this disease will come undone, basically. It will be resolved, and it will be resolved if by nothing other than my own personal power and authority in my life, and my own countenance and my own wisdom, knowledge, and capacities, or wisdom, knowledge, and skills. So anyhow, I just wanted to introduce some concepts about fearlessness, talk about how I am fearless. I think it's really worthwhile to be fearless when it comes to standing alone and being isolated and independent in life and existence, because I'm totally not afraid of being alone at all. I'm not afraid of being the only one in existence, if that were the case. I'm not afraid of having to do everything on my own, even have to deal with the worst could be, or worst possible, the worst possibilities, the worst possible occurrences that might or might not be possible. So it's worthwhile. It's absolutely worthwhile to become fearless in that way. And it's absolutely worthwhile to cultivate power, personal power, in the ways that I've described. I would love to share more with others. I'd love to work with some others. I'd love to even do some business transactions with some others to really help them to cultivate this. I will say directly and overtly, I've not done this before. So I'd be starting new, and those who, if anybody decided to choose to work with me in some way as some sort of counselor, or not technically a counselor that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Certified in any way. I have no certification, but I do have a lot of experience. And I'm willing to share my experience and share my insights and help others out to achieve their best lives and to become a self that is really unstoppable. I feel like I'm pretty much unstoppable a lot of times. I have that kind of personal power, and even though I get hurt, even though I get harmed by all sorts of crazy and insane things in my life, I get right back up very quickly and start again, and I don't have to start anew a lot of times. Sometimes I really do have to kind of start anew, but I've done this so many times that now it takes me, instead of months or years to recover from something, it takes me a matter of days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, to recover from really, really intense problems. And it's happening very quickly. And I'd like to share these things. I'd like to start some sort of business transaction with others to help myself, as well as helping others to produce results like I've gotten. And I am convinced that the results that I've experienced are going to continue to improve and grow. So anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate anyone who has listened to this, anyone who has watched this, with much love and care. I thank you, and maybe we'll be in touch. Thanks.